members, student coordinators, and very importantly, the participants from various institutions across India. Jain deemed to be university. Jain deemed to be university, an intellectual destination that draws inspired students from more than 38 countries to India's Silicon Valley, Bangalore, has been established with an aim to provide quality education and entrepreneurial development. Due of its commitment to learning, research, academia, and entrepreneurial development, National Assessment and Accreditation Council (NAC) has awarded A grade to Jain deemed to be university with a CGPA of 3.21 on a 4-point scale. A culturally vibrant campus constituting of students from various states contributed to achieve this award, which reinvigorates the culture and rich academic traditions of the university. Over the years, the university has made conscious and concerted efforts to build on its strengths and consolidate its achievements. Certified ISO 9001:2015 for quality management by TUV North, Jain deemed to be university is a member of Association of Universities of Asia and the Pacific. Jain deemed to be university has also been awarded 5 stars in the Young University category in Karnataka by KSURF IKEA ratings. School of Commerce, empowerment of students, enhancement of values, and enrichment of academics and research has been the hallmark of School of Commerce, Jain deemed to be university, for nearly 3 decades. The constant innovations nurtured in its various spheres of functioning, which include global tie-ups such as ACCA, CIMA, CMA, CIPS, etc., and experiential learning practices like student immersion programs, entrepreneurs on training and business simulations, amongst others, have characterized the growth of the School of Commerce over the years. School of Commerce as a dynamic set of experienced and research-oriented faculty members who draw students from various countries towards a keen learning environment. Student Research Development Cell, SHODA, is an initiative of School of Commerce, Jain deemed to be university, and is aimed at enhancing the research capacity of students. The objective is to provide a platform for the students to step into research paper writing and to direct the young, intuitive minds in the right direction. It enhances the research output of the students by encouraging them to publish in leading indexed, peer-reviewed, refereed, graded international and national journals. The Student Research Development Cell is also active in organizing webinars, workshops, national and international conferences. Vidyadadati Vinayam, Vinayadhyati Patatam, Patradvadhanamapanoti, Dhanadharmam Tadasyutam. Knowledge gives discipline, from discipline comes worthiness. From worthiness, one gets wealth, from wealth, one does good deeds, from that comes joy. Knowledge does not come easy. You have to work at it hard. Hence, we all have gathered to seek knowledge from our experts in this workshop. The strong and energetic force behind our School of Commerce in carrying out various activities is our respected director, Dr. Dinesh Neelkan sir. I now take the honor of introducing Dr. Dinesh Neelkan sir to the gathering. Sir is currently with Jain University as Director, CMS Business School, Dean of Management, Jain deemed to be University, Director, Admissions, Jain deemed to be University, Director, School of Commerce, Jain deemed to be University. Sir's mantle of responsibility includes strategic planning, vision, risk-taking ability, leadership, continuous communication, learning from experience, managing across and up, collaboration, and sharing experiences. A career spanning 3 decades in the educational sector with core specialization in marketing management, contributed to some of the best practices at Jain deemed to be university. A visionary who has created and shaped Jain deemed to be University Center for Management Studies as one of India's top 5 undergraduate B schools in the country that was recently accredited with a NAC Grade A. Sir is behind organizing many workshops at national and international levels for both students and faculty members. May I request Dr. Dinesh Neelkan, sir, to give his inaugural address.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Miarnav. First of all, very kind of you for giving such a wonderful introduction. And I hope I live to the expectation. So my pranams to all the students and all the coordinators and the resource people. On behalf of Jain University School of Commerce, I welcome all of you for the Student Research Development Cell, Shodha. First of all, let us appreciate the efforts of the entire team, Dr. Smita, Nilima, and Rajdeep, and Srinivas, and all these people who are involved in it. Uh, it is not easy to do a webinar on research, because the thing is that when we talk about research, there are a lot of misconceptions on research which has come in. So this initiative, which was taken by Dr. Smita and her team, was really appreciated. Now, when it comes to SRDC, that is a Student Research Development Cell, I have a suggestion to all the students is that if you look into today's scenario, your education is going to be skill based. Your education is going to be research based. So you have to understand that what is happening in the market, and that is only possible if you do marketing surveys, if you want to know the marketing side of it, and if you do research, if you want to know the totality of it. Now, when we are talking about this, my request to all of you is, instead of going for huge, topics, my request is that why don't you look somewhere very near to you, that what are the new things which are coming in very close to you. Let us say that if you are going to do a small research on how to solve traffic congestion, so that is also a research actually, if you can work on it. How to solve the problems, the basic environmental problems, even that is also a research. So it's not that we have to only do a McKinsey project. It's nothing like that. You can do small projects and learn a lot out of that. You find BBMP is doing a lot of, in fact, some students of Jain University are involved with BBMP. They have a lot of surveys to be done. So if you can do that, and to your shock, you will get to know that so much can be done. So my request to all of you is that it is not only about McKinsey and not about Google and Apple. It is about India also. It is about Bangalore also. It is about your area also. So you can look into it and you will find, you will enjoy actually, because you can go closer to it. So these type of researches can definitely help you. And you should always do an impactful research, because that impactful research is actually going to make a difference. Find out your area of interest and try to do research in it. Trust me, that will, suppose if you have a passion that I want to get into event management, so get into a research part of event management and see that how that can help you. So it should not be just because your mentor says that, okay, do one research in this area, and you are unknowingly doing something which is of no interest. So let us try to do something where you have interest, and that will make a difference. So try to do this, and I'm sure that the SRDC can come out with wonderful papers, because now if you look into the UGC, NAC, and all the accreditation bodies are giving a lot of importance to the student research. So it's a very good initiative which Jain has taken. And my request to all the students is that at least you should come out with one paper at least. It takes a long time to come out with one paper. It's not about writing. It's about a lot of work. I'm sure Rajdeep sir and all these resource people will actually teach you that how you can do this, and that can make a difference. So it's a nice initiative. Thank you, Smita, Nilima, and all the head of the departments who have helped in bringing such an initiative. So thank you very much. Over to the MC and best of luck and do your best, my dear students. Thank you very much.
Sir, you focused on education, would be research based, and you guided students about how to solve the environmental problems and take up the research work. And you also told the students to focus on insightful research with a lot of interest. And definitely SRDC will definitely work on whatever the inputs you have given for the future initiatives as well as programs. Thank you so much for your valuable inputs and spending
Thank
the
you. Thank
time
you.
with us, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Record to memory. Gen record 1356 minutes.
Now we'll move on to the first
Recording set.
session of today's
Record to
workshop.
00918 MP3.
Now I
Recording
take the
accepted.
honor of introducing our first speaker, Dr. Rajdeep Manwani, Coordinator, Department of Commerce, School of Commerce, Jain Deemed to be University. Dr. Rajdeep Manwani is an academician, trainer, motivational speaker, life coach, counselor, and excellence both by training and by choice. He is working as the coordinator in the Department of Commerce at Jain Deemed to be University and is a triple postgraduate and a PhD, having completed his MCom, MBA, and MPhil, and also a doctorate in commerce on the topic Strategic Evaluation of Training in Commercial Banks. He has secured the gold medal for topping both the MCom and MPhil examinations in Mysore University. An eloquent speaker, he has won several debates and was adjudged the best speaker in the International TED Speech competition held by Toastmasters International in 2008. He holds the record of being adjudged the best impromptu speaker for 5 years in India and Sri Lanka for the years 2008, 2009, 2010, 2012, and 2015. He has been awarded the Distinguished Toastmaster, the highest award in Toastmasters International. He is a recipient of the national awards as role model for empowerment of persons with disability from the Honorable President of India in December 2013. He is also the recipient of the special award given by the Chief Minister of Karnataka in 2011 and the State Award for Excellence given by the Government of Karnataka in 2015. He also received the Rotary Award for Vocational Service in Education, the Extraordinary Pathfinder Award by Rotary International, and the Positive Health Hero Award given by Dr. Batra's Clinic and Bajaj Auto in October 2012. He has been a featured TEDx speaker and has hosted several training programs, given motivational speeches, and held management talk shows on radio. He is regular speaker to the senior management and leadership of several companies like Bosch, Wipro, HP, and Cyber, and is part of the elite panel of speakers for several leadership and management forums. He has also done workshops on humor and wit in several colleges and companies. He is an avid quizzer and was the quiz master in several inter-school and intercollegiate competitions. He is passionate about research and quality in education and is a part of the Internal Quality Assurance Cell and also a key member of the research cell at Jain Deemed to be University and has completed two minor research projects on entrepreneurship and student behavior. He has published several research articles and made several paper presentations on education and management in national and international seminars. He has trained, motivated, and mentored over 19,500 students and executives over a span of 20 years and received excellent ratings from his corporate and educational clients, which include Britannia, SBI, Pantaloon Retail, Wipro, and Kotak Life. He firmly believes in the motto of his life, touching lives, making a difference. I wish a hearty welcome to Dr. Rajdeep Manwani on behalf of Student Research Development Cell, Shoda, School of Commerce, Jain Deemed to be University. Dr. Rajiv Manwani will be orienting us about the research in session titled Introduction to Research. Over to you, sir. Rajiv, sir, you have to mute. You have to mute your audio. Unmute, unmute, unmute your, yeah. Yes,
Am
sir.
am I audible now, sir?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. You can start, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction.
You're welcome, sir.
I'll straight away dive into research. Where was my first tryst with research? When I was in my 10th standard, this was several years back. I'll tell you the year also. Students all can do a little research and then figure out my age also, but it's okay. It was 1988, and I was in my 10th standard, and at that time in 1987, there was a company which had started in Hosur. It was a joint venture between the Tamil Nadu Finance Corporation and Tata Industries. Most of y'all might have guessed the name of the company. It has become a household name today. It's called Titan. TI for Tata Industries and TAN for the Tamil Nadu Finance Corporation. So as a part of, since I studied in an ICC school, we had a 6 subject which was called commerce and economics. We had to choose, the 5 subjects were normal and we had to choose one additional subject. So we were taken for a industrial visit to Titan because it was a new company. And the person who was taking us around the entire place, he took us to the place where the straps were added to the watches. He took us to the place where the dials were made. He took us to the various working areas. And then we were around 30, 40 students, and he took us to the office area. And while he was taking us to the office area, we passed by a department. And outside the department were written the words, "We are in 2008." Now remember, we were in 1988. And outside the department was written the words, "We are in 2008." So we students were a little curious. We asked the guide from the HR department, "What is this? How is it written? We are in 2008. We are in 1988, sir." He said, "I don't know much, but I'll take you inside the department and you can speak to the person inside." So we went inside and we met a very fine person, a person who took Titan to great heights. He later on became the managing director of Titan and also the managing director of the entire Titan group, including Timex, Fast Track, etc. His name was Bhaskar Bhatt. And we asked him very curiously, "Sir, we are in 1988. Why are you saying we are in 2008? That man was very kind. He made us sit down and he said, "You know, children, this is the strategic planning department of Titan. And when we get into this department, we actually conduct research and we forecast what is going to be the trend in the next 20 years. And we launch our products based on the research which we conducted and the trend for the next 20 years." So we asked him very politely, "Sir, what research have you done, sir? And what do you think will happen in 2008? He asked us very kindly, "Which watches are you all wearing?" We said, "Sir, HMT." In those days, we had only one company which used to make quality watches, which was called HMT. Was a government-owned undertaking, which was Hindustan Machine Tools. And he immediately told us, "Oh, you all are wearing HMT. You know, we did a research and HMT tells we are the timekeepers of the nation and they have 80% of the market share." We said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You know what? From the research we are conducting, children, we are finding out that people are no longer only interested in wearing watches as a timekeeping instrument. We are not only keeping watches as a timekeeping instrument, we are going to keep watches not only as a timekeeping instrument, but also as a status symbol, also as a gifting idea, also as a fashion accessory? And we said yes. He said yes. And that research proved so correct. In the next 20 years, watches were no longer timekeeping instruments. Titan launched its watches as a fashion accessory. If you know Timex, Raga, Sonata, they kept it as status symbols. The Titan Orion, the Titan Masterpiece. They launched it as gifting ideas, Titan Bandhan for wedding gifts. And you might have heard that HMT wound up its operation in 2018. And today, Titan is the market leader with 73% of the market share. Why? Because they did quality research. And when they did this quality research, they found out that there is a trend for a watch and how watches are going to be used in the future. So what I'm trying to tell you is, at that time itself, there was this bell of research which went on in my head. Now, what is this research all about? Since I've been asked just to give you the introduction to research, just I will trigger a little bit of thinking for you as to what is research, because how research is done, how do you collect data, what are the ways in which you write a research article will be conducted in the next 2 or 3 sessions, okay? But what is this research? Now, there are two very famous management authors called Redman and Nori, who have done excellent work on business research and methodology. And they say research is a scientific and systematic investigation to establish facts and gather knowledge with a spirit of inquiry and exploration. I'll just repeat it again. Research is a scientific and systematic investigation to establish facts and gather knowledge with a spirit of inquiry and exploration. So I just want you to look at these words very carefully. Systematic and scientific investigation. So they're trying to find out what you're trying to investigate. You know, you're just like those curious. Remember, you all used to study these mystery novels. You'll see CID and all this. No, think of it as that. Research, you know, is trying to find out something new. Why do you do it? For the purpose to establish facts, to find out facts, and to gain new knowledge. You want to gain knowledge. And why do you do all that? With what spirit do you do it? With a spirit of inquiry and exploration. So every research is done generally to find out something new. Every research is done to find out a solution to a problem with the spirit of inquiry and explanation. So what I'm going to do is now, I'm going to give you three very, very broad dimensions of research, which will cover the basics of research. And then we'll look at what is this inquiry, explanation, etc. So when you do any systematic and scientific investigation to gather new facts or to establish facts and gather new knowledge, the first thing which you do, this is the first aspect of research, is identify why are you doing the research? What is the problem? This is called the stage of problem identification. So the first part of research is I identify a certain problem. And because I identify a problem, that is the reason why I do a research. So the first established stage of research is problem identification. What do you mean by this problem identification? There was this problem among small children between the ages of 6, 5, 4. They never used to brush their teeth. If you tell them to brush their teeth also, they'll put toothpaste in their mouth and they'll spit it out. If you ask them to use the toothbrush, they're very lazy. You know, they'll go up and they'll just put the toothpaste in their mouth, just move the brush 1 or 2 times and go. And this was a problem. And several researchers wanted to find out, how do we find a solution to this? How do we find a solution to children brushing their teeth in a proper manner? So they observed the children. What do children like? And one of them found that these children, have you seen these small children where they jump? There are some shoes which come out with light glowing. Boom, 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 the sound will come and the light will glow. So he said, I've observed that the children who are between the ages of 4 and 6, they love sounds and they love light, something which will trigger their imagination. So he said, why not come out with a brush which also, when brushing, starts making a light, which also starts making a poo poo sound. And the first toothbrush was launched several years back, which actually glows. When you actually move it up and down, the mechanical energy converts into electrical energy. There's a small LED light which glows in the and and it makes a little sound while it's actually brushing the teeth. And you know what happened? They found that when they launched this toothbrush, nearly 60% of the children, in fact, more than 60%, around 70% of the children started brushing for 3 minutes or more because they loved it. When they saw that, oh, as I'm brushing my teeth, they're going up and down, they're seeing the light burning. They saw that the sound was coming from the. And what happened? They identified a problem. So every research starts with a problem. Dinesh sir was telling you there's a problem of traffic congestion. How do we divert the roads? There's a problem of the now you have a problem where you know what everything you see is corona, correct or no? So you have seen every problem. You know, Godrej has recently done a lot of research and they found that people are very skeptic about anything which comes to their house. So what have they done? They've launched a UV sanitizing box. What is this UV sanitizing box? It's a 30-liter box. So any mail, any package which you get in from outside, you buy on it, put it in the UV sanitizing box, close it, put on the switch, and automatically the entire material gets sanitized. All the viruses and bacteria get killed. So it's a problem. You have a problem of a virus. You have Raymond's, who's recently launched a brand of viral-free fabric. They have silver coating with small silver globules. So viruses actually, when they come in contact with the fabric, they die. So you have every single research is done with the first stage, that is problem identification. Can we identify a problem? And then when you do the research, it becomes so effective. There was this very famous restaurant which was started in Delhi. It was called Sushi. Sushi was a Japanese restaurant, and because sushi is a very famous Japanese dish, you know, they made out of dry fish. And this sushi restaurant, which was started in Delhi in the NCR region, they said that we'll give an authentic experience to every single person who comes to our restaurant. So what they did is they said that not only the food should be Japanese, but the ambience also should be Japanese, with all these Japanese dragons and the entire, not only the Japanese and ambience, but we will also hire Japanese waitresses who will come and serve the authentic Japanese food to you. So they recruited around 8 or 10 girls from Japan, from Tokyo and the nearby areas. And they said, you'll come here in India and you'll start serving. So many of the girls applied and they came to India and they started serving. Now they started finding a problem. The problem which they found was that these waitresses were very clumsy. They had given them a training for nearly 1.5, 2 months on how to serve. But they found that when the restaurant started, these waitresses were really clumsy. How were they clumsy? As they used to when they used to put the water, they used to spill the water on the table. When they were serving, they used to slip, and sometimes the sushi and the dish used to fall on the dress of the customer. And they found that these errors were continuing for a long period of time. You can't remove these waitresses. They've come on a contract basis. They've hired them for 2 years. How much of a training you give them, nothing is happening. They said, let's do a research. In fact, they hired a person. They said, you have to research and find out what is the reason. So this researcher started interviewing these waitresses. He asked them, oh, is it that you all are missing your native in Japan? You want to go back? No, sir, we don't want. Do you find the pay less? No, sir. He did a questionnaire. He found out, what is this? Why are you all doing this? And every time he asked the questions, whether it was psychological questions or demographic questions, every time the Japanese waitresses came out, then he said, let me do a little bit of observation. The problem is very acute. We cannot have very clumsy F&B service. F&B is food and beverage service, and that's the cornerstone of any restaurant. We cannot have that on a continuous basis. So what he did is, he started observing. He started observing these waitresses when they were serving the customer. And when he started observing them, Within a few days, he discovered the reason for their clumsiness. You know what was the reason? And that's what simple research is all about, identifying the problem and finding out simple solutions. He found out that all Japanese generally are very small built. They are much shorter than an average Indian or an average American, or Americans are too huge. Americans and Russians are huge, but leave that. But compared to Indians, Japanese are very small built and short. And to make up for their shortness, what these Japanese waitresses used to do is used to wear these high heeled shoes, these pencil heels, girls, you all might be knowing this pencil heels, these big heel shoes. And when you're wearing pencil heels or when you're wearing these high heel shoes, what's going to happen? You don't have a proper balance because the shoes are in such a way that your center of gravity is lifted. Physics, simple physics, right? Immediately he reported this matter. It's not that the waitresses are less skilled. It's not that they have nothing else. It's not that the shop floor is very slippery. The only reason is that these girls are wearing high heel shoes. Immediately the next day, the management put out a notice to all the waitresses. No shoes with heels allowed. You only wear flat shoes and flat sandals. Hmm. Okay. Okay. That's what happens, when a Japanese waitress fell on a customer, that's what the sound which came. Dug, 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 that fellow shouted. Okay. So you can imagine that. Okay. So they immediately came out with his flat shoes and flat heels, and the entire problem was solved just by a simple research, an observational research. I don't have time to discuss the different types of research today, the conceptual research, the historical research, the diagnostic research, but you all will get through it. You all are just getting into research. So just identify. The first step in research is problem identification. So look around you. Where is there a problem? Is there a problem in your society? Might be the water is not coming. Try and observe what is the reason. Is there a problem in your college where you are going? What is the problem? Might be the students are not paying attention. What is the reason? Is it because the classes are not being conducted properly? What are the reasons? And then try and solve a problem. And the first step or the first stage in research is identifying a specific problem. So it's called problem identification. What do you do next? Once you identify a problem, the second step is called data gathering and analysis. What is it called? Data gathering and analysis. Okay. Whenever you identify a problem, you have to gather data and you have to analyze the data in order to arrive at some concrete solution for your problem. There's this very famous Infosys founder, you'll all know him. His name is N.R. Narayanamurthy. N.R. Narayanamurthy was once asked, how is it that Infosys is so successful? And he answered it in just one line. He said, we trust in God, but believe in data. We trust in God, but believe in data. And that is what you have to do. Collect the data. Why is Infosys being so successful? They've gathered data. Which software services are required? What are the data among all the banks? How can we make a banking? That's why you have one of the most successful banking software, Pinnacle. If you go into your login for your banking, whether it's in your mobile app or if you go on your uh, info any net banking, you'll find that there is one software which rules the roost, whether it's an Indian bank, an American bank, or an European bank. It's called Pinnacle, and the entire Pinnacle software was only launched by gathering data about customers, gathering data about what services the banks wanted, and Infosys matched it together and they arrived at a solution of how net banking, NEFT, RTGS banking solutions can be done. No single bank other than very few banks in Australia, etc., use softwares other than the Infosys software called Pinnacle. Why? Because they gather data, analyze data. Let me tell you 2 or 3 more incidents of data analysis and gathering where it's helped. And I'm going to talk about very famous companies. There was this boy in young boy, you can call him a boy, around 25 years old, in Mumbai. He had inherited his father's company, which was called the Bombay Oil Industries Limited. It was called BOIL, Bombay Oil Industries Limited, and it was a basically an oil company which sold edible oil. Okay, and this person, his name was Harsh Mariwala, said that my edible oil is selling only in parts of. He used to sell this vegetable oil, correct or no? Is selling only in parts of Mumbai. I want to make my company global. I want to make my company big. I just don't want to inherit the legacy of my dad. So he started gathering data. This was in the late 80s, early 90s, 87, 88 again in 1990s. And he started gathering data among households. Most of the households in those days used a very famous ghee brand for cooking, which was called Dalda. I don't know if you'll have heard of it, but Dalda was a market leader. And there was one more very heavy oil in those days. It was a groundnut oil, which was called Postman. Okay. Both were Hindustan Unilever. Hindustan Unilever is one of the leading companies in India. Okay. And he started identifying, he started asking, how do you file cooking with ghee? Acha hai, it's good. He started gathering data. He hired people and he employed a marketing research company called MARG, Marketing Analysis and Research Group, and they started collecting data. What is the preference of oils? And when he started collecting the data gathering, collecting data, preferences of oil, preferences of cooking oil, preferences of cooking, and he started finding out that nearly 75% of people, although they liked the taste of the oil which they were using, whether it was Postman or whether it was Dalda, they found that they had a very huge underlying concern. The underlying concern of all these people who had used cooking oil and Dalda was health. And slowly it was coming into the Indian psyche that Dalda is full of cholesterol. Postman is full of cholesterol. And Harsh Mariwala decided to do something absolutely revolutionary. First, he changed the name of his company because people always identified Bombay Oil Industries Limited with Swikar. There was an oil brand called Swikar. And he said, let's change it. He changed the name of his company from Bombay Oil Industries Limited to Marigo Industries because his surname was Mariwala. He said, let's call it Marigo Industries. And Marigo Industries launched India's first healthy oil, which was called Saffola. It was a sunflower oil, it was a light oil, it was edible. And what happened after that is history. A little bit of research into the Indian psyche showed that people prefer health over taste, and that was the growing trend at that particular point of time. So his ads also used to be like that, used to show a person being carried in an ambulance to the hospital, and it used to end with your cheapest health insurance, Saffola oil. Correct or no? Person suffering a heart attack going into the hospital, and then it says your cheapest health insurance, Saffola oil. And Saffola took off. And as you know, Saffola is one of the leading brands. Why? Because he gathered information, data gathering, and data analysis. Collecting the data, analyzing the data in the correct manner. When you collect the data correctly, if you analyze the data correctly, you have a recipe for success. Again, let me tell you of another entrepreneur who's one of the richest men in India. In fact, he's one of the 10 richest men in India, and now he's in the top 5. At one time, you might be shocked to know that he even overtook Mukesh Ambani around 3 years back to become the richest man in India. His name is Dilip Sangvi. Again, a person who's born out of research. Dilip Sangvi is the founder of a company called Sun Pharmaceuticals. Okay. Now, what does the Sun Pharma do? Sun Pharmaceuticals, when it was launched again in 1990, it was a very, very ordinary company which used to make OTC drugs. OTC is nothing but over the counter drugs. And again, he was not very satisfied with the turnover of Sun Pharma. It was only hardly around 50 crores or 60 crores, just OTC drugs, for fever, for cough, cold. He had something called Cold Act, like that, and he said, let me do a little research. Let me go around hospitals in and around India and try and find out what is the drugs which are selling in these hospitals and what are the cases of people who are coming to hospitals on a regular basis. Everybody told Dilip Sangvi, don't act stupid. You're doing well. You have an excellent grip on your OTC drugs, over the counter drugs, fever drugs, cold drugs. Just keep with that. No balms. Leave that. Why do you want to go in? He said, let me try. No? So he did a research. He went around with his 30 sales force. He sent 30 salespeople across the country to different parts of the country. Some to Bombay, some to Ahmedabad. It's based in Mumbai again, Sun Pharmaceuticals. Then he went to Tamil Nadu and Chennai, in different parts, tier 2, tier 1 cities. In fact, mostly to the tier 1 cities. And then they collected the data and met after around 3 months. And every single salesman who had interviewed doctors in different hospitals came out with the same data. And when they analyzed the data, they said that majority of hospitals which are being treating people in Bangalore or in Mumbai or in Chennai, etc. Am I audible, sir? Is it or
Yes, sir.
yeah, yeah.
You're audible, sir.
Okay, okay. You know why? Because what's happened is I don't know because there's no sound at all. So and I've kept my phone in front of me so that if I disconnect, somebody will call me up, and suddenly my phone started vibrating. So
No, sir. It's
the,
audible, sir.
the data analysis said that is there something wrong? So no problem. Okay, it's absolutely. So what data they say, whether in Bangalore or Chennai or any other place, they found that there was a great demand for lifestyle drugs. The entire software revolution was taking place in India. Lot of IT centers were being started in India, software parks, sitting in front of the computer. Psychiatric drugs and cardiological drugs were the required. Many people were suffering from heart attack, stress related, lifestyle related, lot of psychiatric problems, people going into depression. The entire depression revolution started in the 1990s. Okay, now it's become a little more complex, but the entire psychiatric, people getting anxious, people getting into depression, lot of these. And Dilip Sangvi, on the basis of research of his sales force, decided and took one very bold step. He said, we are exiting the OTC business. Whatever money, we'll wind up this over-the-counter business and launch lifestyle drugs, psychiatric drugs. All of you all have heard of Prozac, Angsit, correct? To reduce anxiety. He started launching cardiological drugs, acetylcholine, lenoxin. All these drugs were launched to control heartbeat, to control the anxiety levels which were increasing in the Indian population. India wasn't so anxious 30 years back. Now it's become the anxiety and suicide capital of the world. Correct or no? And all these drugs took off. 2020, if you see the sales turnover of Sun Pharmaceutical, it's nearly 6 lakh crores. 6 lakh crores. Okay. That is the overall turnover of Sun Pharmaceutical across 21 different countries, because he gathered data scientifically, he analyzed the data, and he took a conscious decision. So just remember this: when you gather data, that is great. It's not only gathering the data, it's not only identifying the problem. You identify the problem, that's the first stage. The second stage is you analyze the data and you gather data, you collect the data. How you collect data, you'll be told in the next few sessions, correct? The questionnaires, how you frame a questionnaire, how you put the necessary questions, what you do. But I'm just trying to give you an overview. So just underline. So you identified the problem. What was the second thing which you did? You recorded the data, collected the data, data collection and data analysis, analyzing the data. Analyzing is breaking the data and coming out with what it is. Correct or no? So, in fact, the word analysis comes from the Latin word analyse, which means to break down. So, when you collect data, you break it down into comprehensible parts. See what it is actually, what does it have in store for me? That is nothing but data analysis. Correct or no? Just to tell you one more person who, again, from a vegetable oil company, went on to become one of the richest men in India, also because of this. Uh, all of you all have heard of Wipro. You know what was the full form of Wipro when it started off in 1945? It was started by Azim Premji's father, Mohammad Premji, who was the grandson of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Okay, his Wipro stood for Western India's Palm Refined Oil Company. Western India Palm Refined Oil Company. But when Azim Premji took it over in 1970s, just a 25, 26-year-old young man, he started experimenting. He started going abroad, collecting data. And when he started collecting data, he said that there is no scope for palm refined oil. There is no scope for vanaspati. It is only going to deteriorate. And that's what in the 1990s, in the 80s, led to Wipro changing itself from an atom-based company to a byte-based company. Atom-based is anything, your soaps, etc. And he said that the scope of atom-based companies are limited, but the scope of a byte-based company is unlimited. And that's what led to him. So collecting data. He used to go abroad and find out what is this computers, how are these computers. So you moved from a palm refined oil company, from an oil company to a computer services company. And you know how Azim Premji, one of the greatest donors in our country, also through data analysis. But I don't want to dwell more. Let's go to the third stage because my time is traveling really quickly. Let's go to the third stage. Once you have identified the problem, once you have gathered the data, recorded the data, and analyzed the data, what do you do next? You interpret the data and find a solution. So that is called data interpretation and finding solutions. This will complete the loop of your research. You have found the problem, you have collected the data regarding your problem, and now what do? You identify finally what is the interpretation I can do with this data, and from the interpretation of the data, what is the solution I can do so that I can come out with something more beautiful and something which is long lasting. Now, there is one story which I tell in most of my seminars because I get very inspired by this story. This is a story of a person who was born a very ordinary individual in a small town in Tamil Nadu called Kudalur. Kadalur. Okay. From a small town in Kadalur, where he was a Tamil medium boy, this boy was he was the youngest of three brothers. The other two brothers went into English medium schools and they did extremely well. This boy's father, I'll tell you the name of the boy in a little time. This boy's father, and I'll tell you how he interpreted data so beautifully and came out with such a brilliant solution. Okay, this boy's father was a packaging expert. He was a pharmacist who used to create packages. You know, he used to do all these small plastic packets, plastic. Okay, yeah. So he used to come out with these plastic packets, plastic small, uh, finding ways of coming out with these plastic ways. And he also used to deal with a little bit of soaps and shampoos, etc. So his father was a packing expert and he was also a shampoo expert. In fact, he came out with the small packets for what do you call these, talcum powders, etc. Again in the 1990s. Now, when this person completed his education, he joined his brothers. His father, whose name was Chinnaswamy Krishnamurthy, had passed away by that time. And when he joined his brother's business, his brothers had taken the distribution of a shampoo brand called Velvet. Velvet was a brand which was launched by Godrej in the 1990s and the 2000s. But these brothers were not very happy with this boy. Oh, you know only Tamil. What will you add to our business? And they said, you leave the business. It's not fit for you. Very disheartened, he left the business. He said, I don't know anything else but the shampoo business, which my brothers have taught me, my father used to have. And I know a little bit of packaging. And this boy, with a capital of 15,000 rupees, started a research. He started researching as to my brothers are selling in the urban areas Velvet shampoo. Can I sell this Velvet shampoo and take a distribution of Godrej and start selling it in the rural areas? So he used to go and sell this bottles in the rural areas, but his sales didn't take off. So he decided, okay, let me collect data. So he started collecting data from all the villagers. What do you want from a shampoo? You want a clean hair? Yes, sir, we want clean hair. Then why you're not buying shampoo? Too expensive, sir. Correct or no? Okay, how much do you want to pay per day to clean your hair? Sir, 1 rupee is enough, sir, per day for cleaning our hair. Now, these three data points led to one of the greatest revolutions in Indian marketing. One, rural people also wanted clean hair. Second, they found shampoo bottles very expensive. Third, they were willing to pay up to 1 rupee per day for clean hair by using a shampoo. So he said, let me use the packaging expertise of my father. So he did a research on packing materials. Till that time, till the 1990s, packing was only used, small packets were only used to keep pan masala, to talcum powder, etc. So he said, let me try putting a liquid into this and let me try putting shampoo into this. So he experimented for around 6 months. He gathered data on how liquid can't come out of these plastic sachets. And what was born was a shampoo called Chick Shampoo. The name of that boy was C.K. Ranganathan, who started the sachet revolution in India. He started selling sachets under the name Chick. Chick is his father's name, Chinnaswamy Krishnamurthy. Okay. And when he started selling sachets, the entire rural areas went berserk. He started selling sachets, and he also found out one more research. When will you buy another sachet? Sir, if we give back a sachet, will you give us another sachet? So he came out with a marketing idea. Another research. What is the best promotion that works in rural areas? It's not loud advertisement. It is not radios. It is a sales promotion whereby you give something and you get something free. So the second research point was what works in rural areas is research. And he interpreted that data and he told you, give me back 5 sachets of Chick shampoo. I'll give you 1 sachet of Chick shampoo free. And Chick shampoo created history. Today, it's the second largest selling shampoo brand in the country after Hindustan Unilever. Hindustan Unilever has Clinique, Dove, Sunsilk. But other than that, Chick Shampoo, Nile, Neera, all these are the brands of Cavan Care, the company which he renamed it later on. It was called Chick. The shampoo was called Chick, but the company was called Cavan Care. From a 15,000 rupee brand, it's grown to a 200,000 crore brand. All proper research. Even as late as 2005, he did research. The hallmark of C.K. Ranganathan is the amount of research which he does. In 2005, he found that the Fairness Cream brand was overcrowded. You have Fair and Lovely, now it's become Glow and Lovely. You had Imami and you had so many other fairness creams. But when he did research among the people as to what do you find gives you a glow and fairness, he found that most people said that when they associated fairness, they associated with saffron. And he launched his fairness cream called Fairever. Again, now Fairever is the leader in the market after Glow and Lovely, after Fair and Lovely. The continuous data interpretation and finding solution has led to C.K. Ranganathan becoming the king of the shampoo and the fairness cream market. Again, he did research as late as 2008 on what is the feeling when they put a balm. They said, sir, we want comfort, we want a different balm. And he said that where is the brand identity highest for balms? And he found that there was a brand from Singapore called Tiger Balm. So he got it into India and he launched Tiger brand under Cabin Care. And again, Tiger Balm has become a leader. So just remember that the three elements. What were the three elements? Problem identification, data collection and analysis, data interpretation, and finding solutions. Now I have around 4-5 minutes left. How much time do I have, sir? Around 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Let me tell you some small.
Another 5 minutes, sir.
Yeah. So let me end with this. Okay. Now, once you have these three elements in mind, what do you require to be a good researcher? As children, as students who are going to get into research for the first time, what do you want to be a researcher? Remember, any knowledge which you learn is learned by two steps: observe and absorb. These are the two words, keep it in your head. No knowledge is gained other than through observation and absorption. All of y'all who learn to swim, if y'all can swim, did y'all learn it by going through a book? You have to put your left leg inside, right leg outside, then jump into the water, start splashing your hands. And you read some two books on swimming. Then when you jumped into the water, don't try it. Tomorrow we'll get holiday in college. Understand? What will happen? You'll never learn swimming through correspondence. You have to observe your coach, then absorb it by trying it on your own. Research is also like that. Anybody who's become a good singer, you observe the way in which your teacher sings, then you absorb the way he sings, and then you become a good singer. Every knowledge, every skill is acquired by observation and absorption. You first observe whether it's singing. If I'm a teacher, how did I become a teacher? By observing my teachers and then following their style and then finally adopting my own style. Observing and absorption. So good research needs a clear eye for observing, needs a great level of absorption. You all should be like sponges. See everything around you. Have a keen eye. What is going around in this country? What is going around in this place? And then absorb that particular place. And once you observe and absorb, you will gain new perspectives into anything which you want to do in life. Anything. Whatever it is, if you observe, if you absorb, that will what will make you successful. Correct or no? Just keep this in mind. You have to observe first, and then you have to absorb. Like there was this, okay, let me not go into anything about observation because you all have learned quite a bit. But just remember that observation and absorption are the cornerstones of any great research. Like there was this boy, okay, I'll tell you this in 1 minute and then I'll wind up with a small story and we'll close this session. There was this one boy who was working as a servant in a house in Bombay with some MBA students. Now, these MBA students, what they used to do is they used to go in the morning. They used to study in a college in Mumbai called Narsee Monji. And they used to go there. They used to go in the morning. They used to go for the jogging, cycling. And then they used to come back. They used to give all their dirty clothes to this fellow. This fellow used to put it, this Bihar boy used to put it in a washing machine and he used to clean it up. He went for his holidays to his village. Now, observing these boys cycle every day, keenly seeing how they cycle, he learned cycling. Seeing how the washing machine works, when he used to put it in, he used to look at the plug, look at the turning mechanism, etc. He went to his village in Bihar and there he said, I don't have electricity 24 hours where I can use a washing machine. And then the observation came good. Can I cycle and pedal and add a washing machine so that I can do my exercise as well as wash the clothes? And that led to the first prototype of the cycling washing machine. You know that, what is it called, that cycling washing, what is that standalone cycle called? I have a treadmill type, I don't know what it's called, a stationary cycle. So he patented a stationary cycle where you keep cycling, and as you're cycling, the washing machine starts getting triggered and you can wash your, just with a water jet into your water machine. So you don't have to use electricity. You just need water, you need your clothes, and a simple prototype of a cycling washing machine is born. And I think so it will be launched very soon. It's already gaining traction in the US, but just seen by observation and absorption. The second thing which you require for research is consistent effort. Consistent research. Research, when you find a problem, you don't get solutions immediately. But if you stick on to that problem and continue gathering data, interpreting data, and stick on to it, you will definitely get solutions over a period of time. So I want to end with this very interesting story. Did you all know,
Ah,
children, that, yeah,
sir,
yeah.
I think the session is supposed to end in 11:45. We have to have some breaks, sir.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah,
thank you so much, all of y'all. It has been an absolute pleasure talking to all of y'all. So just remember that the 3 points, the first one was identification of the problem. The second one was gathering data and analyzing the data. The second is data interpretation and finding solutions. Second thing is the characteristics which you require is observation and absorption, and stay focused, consistent to your data. I wanted to tell you a story, but they are telling me not to tell you, so it doesn't matter. That is also a part of the
It's okay, sir. You can take.
Sir, please share the story, sir. We are interested. The ones who have class or any other commitment may leave, please. Sir,
no, no,
request
no,
you to kindly share,
no,
sir.
no, no, it's okay, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Who was that sir who stopped me? He might be.
One student,
No,
sir.
that is a student, sir.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so there are many more students who are interested to listen to you, and we
No,
would
it's okay.
love
It's
you to.
11:45. That's
Yes,
fine.
I'm also interested to listen.
No, no, no. It's okay. You go. No problem. I'm very happy with that. You stopped me right in the middle when I told you there were 2 minutes left. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to all of you. Okay. And thank you so much for inviting me. And it's been, and thank you so much, Smita ma'am. And thank you all the organizers for calling me. Thank you very, very much. Okay, ma'am. We'll wind up and we'll continue.
1 minute, sir. I think we'll wait for the question and answer.
Hmm.
Thank you for that session. Now I request the participants, you can now ask questions in the chat box. Before that, I would request you all to switch on your videos for the photography. The link for the feedback form will be sent in the chat box. You're requested to fill it and submit it by the end of this session. Kindly post your questions in the chat box, and you can turn on your videos for a minute for the photograph.
The classes start at 11:45, ma'am. I think so I've gone ahead. No, that boy had a class at 11:45, 11:50. Or what was it, ma'am?
No, sir, actually, students have been given instruction that it's an entire day workshop. So, not a problem, sir. You can. I
No,
think there was one student.
he,
Yeah.
he told he had to go, right? Or I don't know what
No,
was
no, no. It is for entire day workshop. Till 5 o'clock, they have the workshop, sir.
They have been told that they have full day workshops, sir. So
Then
for
how,
one student,
how did
yeah.
means he was feeling bored, or what?
Sharmila ma'am, could you please unmute participants only if at all they have anything to say at the end of the session?
Yes, ma'am, yes.
Sir, I have a question for you on behalf of students. When we talk about research, usually students will have problem in terms of creating interest. And how do you think that they can create interest in research? What are your tips or techniques for them to make it much more interesting?
To make it, you want to make it interesting for them, or they have to make it interesting?
They have to
I
make
didn't
it.
get your question clearly, sir.
The students feel that research is little boring for them, or probably it is very difficult for them. So I, on behalf of students, asking how they can develop their interest
You're a
in
student,
research.
right? What's your name?
Sir, I'm a faculty asking this on behalf of the students. I'm Arnav here.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you were the one who stopped me. Okay.
No, no,
No,
sir.
sir.
No, no, no.
I'm
Okay.
a faculty, sir.
Correct, correct. So how do the students make it interesting for themselves, we are really? Suppose you
Yes,
are
yes,
a
sir.
student.
Mm.
So first there is a mental barrier from the student side. As I think so, students, I've already told you, all the stories which I gave you is just making a small observation here and there. So the first thing which you have to understand is research doesn't start with something big. You have to just follow your curiosity. What you have to just follow your curiosity. What are you curious in? What tingles your curiosity? Uh, there was this story of this boy who was asked to work in a library, and this he had to arrange the books. So this librarian had called people to arrange books, and most of the students used to find it really boring, and they used to leave within a week. Arranging the books in order, alphabetical order, collecting the books, collecting all books of A, then B, then putting them together, etc. But there was one boy who worked there for 2 months in that library. And that end of the 2 months, the librarian asked this boy, "You stuck for 2 months. Nobody else stuck for 2 months. Why?" He said, "Ma'am, I viewed this entire arranging books like a mystery. Oh, I have to search for a criminal called A. So get all the A books together. Then B. So I inculcated the spirit of curiosity in me, where I did not view it as a monotonous job which I had to do, but I had to do it as a murder mystery, arranging all the A's together, the B's together, the C's together, correct or no? Finding this author, which author has been, so getting their books. And that spirit of curiosity led this boy to become Bill Gates. One of his most famous stories as a young boy was when he arranged books, and he always said, arranging books is not arranging books, it's a murder mystery. In the same way, children, you find out something, what tingles your curiosity. Might be when you press the tube, what comes out from the fairness screen? How do I apply it? Might be you can develop a new play. Colgate, a student gave an idea to Colgate with just the curiosity of seeing it. They said that our consumption of toothpaste is not increasing. He said, increase the diameter of your tube by 0.2 centimeters. More toothpaste will come out, more people will buy. So just finding out. So if you want to make it interesting, don't start off with that I have to publish 25 papers. Start off with what interests you. Might be something like, what is the core which makes you feel something? It might be a restaurant, seeing how people go and come out. Might be if you're interested in fashion, seeing people go out and inside of a mall. So don't view it as that and start your observation, find your curiosity, then we can develop it. Might be you're interested in the financial market, how the stock markets are going up and going down. So that
Okay,
begin with curiosity and you'll end with research. Okay.
sure, sir. So there is one more question. The participant is asking, you gave us examples of successful research, but what about the researchers?
Just one. I can't hear you, sir. Can
Sir,
anybody
you
else?
gave us examples of, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, tell me, sir.
Sir, the participant is asking a question. He's saying that you gave us examples of successful research, but what about the failed researchers?
But what about?
Failed researchers who are not successful.
Okay. Now, I'm very curious about one thing. If you have a room which has a dark area and a room which is illuminated, why will you look at the dark area? I don't understand this, correct or no? Why do you start off itself by looking in the pessimistic view? Correct or no? You start off exactly with the point that I'm going to fail. I'm a loser in life. Is that the right attitude to have? When I give you examples of successful researchers, it's to inspire you. I can give you, there might be hundreds of failed researchers, okay? But do I want to tell, oh, this fellow started this and he failed, so please don't go into research? Why are you looking at the shadow when the sun is in front of you? When I'm giving you the examples of these, because I want you to see the brighter side of life. Leave alone. You might have failed in research, somebody might have failed in research, but also view that as an experience. Nothing is a failure in life. Understand that. You might have attempted something, you might have failed. You might have got a girlfriend or a boyfriend, she might have ditched you. Even that taught you how to love, right? Correct? When you did an exam, you didn't do well in that exam. That also taught you how to not write, how to write an exam. So you might fail in your research. That's okay. But you will learn something from it. And when I gave you of the examples of successful research, when I told you C.K. Ranganathan became the head, he did not succeed in the first time when he also tried something. I could have given you C.K. Ranganathan's perfumes and deodorant brand, didn't take off so well. He's got a brand called Spins. Okay. He experimented. He thought I'll launch a low-end deodorant, but it's a failed thing, but it's okay. But he learned something that this is not going to work. Haven't you heard of that story of that fellow who's that Thomas Edison, when they said that how does it feel uh, uh, failing 1,000 times before coming to a light bulb? And what did he say? He said it was not 1,000 failures. It was a 1,000-step process to come out with my light bulb. So two things. Never start with the assumption that you're going to fail. That means you're definitely going to fail. Look at the brighter side. Second, even if you fail, it's okay. Because
Okay,
you
sir.
learn something out of it. Correct or no?
Yes, sir. There's one more question, sir. How to avoid losing sight of what we want? That is when we keep reading research papers, at times we lose focus. So how to, gain that focus? That's what there's question from the
So
back.
that's why, so you know one thing, your research is not a floodlight, it's a spotlight. You can keep steel under the sun for thousands of hours, nothing will happen. But if you have a laser, it will cut the steel like a butter knife. Now, whenever you find that you're reading a lot of research papers and losing focus, first thing, write down clearly what is I want to gain from reading these research papers. What is the point of my research? Suppose you have identified the problem. I want to find out what are the conditions of workers in the textile industries in Bangalore and do something for them. So write down textile workers on a piece of paper, write down the working conditions, and every paper which comes, which is remotely assistant, suppose you read one paper, you find there's something about it, mark it off and put a point over there, page 3 and 4 of this. Then read the second one. If there's nothing together, put a cross on that article and leave it off. So when I did my research, I used to do that way. Write down 3 or 4 points like cards. I used to have, when I did my research, I did it on strategic evaluation of training in commercial banks. So I targeted on 3 things: attitude, skill, and knowledge. So any paper with attitude, I used to put in one folder. Anything with skill, one folder. Anything in knowledge, one folder. If anything was not at all relevant, delete that article. So make a very, very focused approach. Even listen to you children. Every time you do research, be a little focused. Don't scatter your attention. Correct or no? There was this very famous Sufi saint called Jalaluddin Rumi. Correct or no? So one man came to him and he told him, "Sir, I'm not at all successful, sir." So Jalaluddin Rumi said, "Yes, I know why. Come to the backyard of my house." So this fellow came to the backyard of his house. When he came to the backyard of his house, he found some 200 pits of 1 feet dug out behind his house. So he asked Rooney, "What is this?" He said, "No, I wanted to dig a well. So I've made these 2 feet." That man told, "Sir, I think so I've come to the wrong person. I think you need some psychiatric treatment. How will you find a well when you're digging 2 feet, 200 places? You could have done one place 400 feet. He said, "That's the problem with you. You're not successful because you have attempted too many things, too many times. So one well will get water at 400 feet. 200 wells of 2 feet will get you nowhere. Focus. Get your articles, write out the reason for it, and get the reason what you want to find out of that particular solution."
Okay, sir, there is one last question due to time constraint. One of the participant is asking, could you refer to some famous books on research and methodology? Famous books on research and methodology.
There are all the basic books. See, every book which you find on research and methodology, what is that? I forget, the CB Memoria. These are all the textbooks which I'm telling you, Redman and Nori. All research books which are there, will give you a very dry perspective of research. Correct or no? So what I'm trying to tell you is, I can refer to you. There is C.V. Memoria, there is uh, Sultan and Saha, there is Redman and Nori. All these books will give you what is research, a very theoretical
Sir,
background of
can we refer the book?
no?
Okay. Yes, sir. I think
Yes,
we
somebody
have come
wanted
to
to
the.
refer some, anybody else wanted to refer something. But what I'm trying to tell you is, before reading any book on research, try and get interested in research. Correct or no?
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay. There's a famous saying in English which goes, if you want people to construct a ship, it's no longer telling them how to cut the wood, but getting them the desire to go into the sea.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
So thank you. I think we have come to the end of this, first session. It was very interesting. You spoke about different aspects of research in the current scenario with a lot of examples. Gave an overview of research in three stages about problem identification, data gathering and analysis, data interpretation, and finding solutions. You also gave a call to students to observe and absorb it by own in research. Importance of consistent efforts in doing research and working on it consistently for a longer time. So it was wonderful session, sir. I think with all the inputs, whatever you have provided to the students, I think they should be able to work and concentrate on research in a better way. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
spending your valuable time with us. And it was really interesting, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So participants, I would request you people to fill the feedback form, which is already sent in the chat box. And this feedback form will be active only for 15 minutes. You're supposed to fill it within 15 minutes. It will not, work after 15 minutes. Kindly fill the feedback form within 15 minutes. And you're supposed to attend all the sessions, till evening. As of now, we have completed one session. We have three more sessions, one now, and post lunch we have two more sessions. So kindly stay with us. And now we are starting with the second session. So you're requested to fill it and submit quickly so that we can start the next session now. So the next session is starting in another 1 or 2 minutes. Please be with us. You can mute your audios and videos. Photograph is already taken. You can mute your audio and video. Instructions to the participants. Kindly mute your audio and video. Participants need to be present for the entire session. Participants can post their queries in chat box by the end of the session. A feedback form will be shared during the session in the chat box. It should be submitted by the end of each session. If you leave the session without filling the form, the certificate won't be issued. Participants will receive the certificate within 10 days of the workshop. So now we are going to start with the second session. Kindly stay with us. Kindly fill the feedback form.